Let's go to page 76, and this is section 2-5. And the objective of this lesson is to solve absolute value sentences graphically. Okay? And so let's go ahead and remember that the absolute value means the distance. Okay, so if you have A and B over here, so the distance between them is, so distance between A and B is A minus B. Okay, distance between B and A is A minus B, or so you can use this as the end and this is the beginning. So if you're going from here to here, then you use the end minus beginning, or you can have B minus A. Okay, so it doesn't matter which way you go. So distance from here to here is this. Distance from here to here is that. So you can the end minus the beginning. So, okay, so if you start over here, you end up over here. That is this. Okay, and again, but they are equal because the distance is always absolute value. It's always positive. So notice in this case, when you're looking for distance or absolute value, you can go and switch the two numbers. So that's going to be used for later on. Okay, so let's go over some examples. So example 1 is just find the distance between the graph of each pair of numbers. Okay, so 1a, you're looking for distance between 8 and 17. Again, to find the distance between the two, you just subtract, okay, and take absolute value. So the distance will equal to absolute value of 17 minus 8. Okay, so again, this is the beginning, the end. You always use the end minus the beginning. And so the distance will equal to absolute value of 9. And so distance will equal to 9. Okay. And for B, you're looking for distance between negative 11 and negative 6. Okay. Again, so distance is absolute value between the 2 points. So it doesn't matter which one you minus. Okay? Because to find distance, you can go from here to here, or you can go from here to here. So that means they're going to be the same. So it doesn't matter which one you minus. Okay? So if you have negative 11 minus negative 6, right, make sure, again, distance is the difference between the two. Okay? And so this would be negative 11 plus 6. Right? Now these two numbers are opposite, so you have to subtract the number. So subtract the number will give you 5, and we take the sum of big number will be negative 5. Okay? And then you apply the absolute value, so the distance will equal to 5. Okay, then let's go to C. You have negative 9 and 12. So again, the distance between them would be the end minus the beginning. Okay. And if you simplify, you get 12 plus 9. So distance will equal to absolute value of 21. So distance will equal to 21. Okay. So as long as you remember the definition of the distance, then you will be in good shape. Okay, so now let's go and solve graphically. Let's go to example 2. So you solve x minus 3 equal to 2. So what it's saying is that the distance between the x and the 3 is equal to 2. Okay. So the distance between the x and the 3 will equal to 2. So in other words, this is your starting point. And this is your end point. Because you always use the end minus the beginning. Okay? And this is your distance. So that's what all this means. Okay? So again, so absolute value means the distance. So distance between the endpoint of x and the starting point of 3 will equal to 2. And you always subtract. Okay? You need to have a subtraction over here. So when you're doing the graphing, okay, so you put a 3 over here, not negative 3. Okay? So don't put a negative over here because negative is part of your form. Right? Again, the distance is the difference between the two. So negative is part of your equation. So don't put a negative over here. So it's 3. Okay? And then the distance is 2. Okay? The distance between, so here's your x and here x. Okay? So again, the difference between the end point and the starting point is 2. That's your distance. So if this is 3 and this is 2, then this would be equal to 5. Okay? If this is 3 and you're going 2 this way, this would be a 1. Okay? And so therefore your answer would be x equal to 1, or remember this is only pointing toward the absolute value is and, everything else is or. So it would be or x equal to 5, and that is your answer. Okay, so that's how you do it graphically. Okay. Let's go to example 3. Okay, your absolute value of y plus 2 is less than or equal to 3. So first you have to put in the proper format. Again, remember the distance is the difference between the two. So you have to do the subtraction. So you have to have y minus -2 is less than or equal to 3. So again, you must have a minus, okay, because you're looking for the difference between the 2 points. So in this case, your starting point is -2. So that's your -2. Okay? And your distance is 3. So you go 3 this way. So -2 go 3 this way, you end up with a 1. -2, you go 3 this way, it's going to be -5. Okay? Now you have to look at this over here. Notice the arrow. So arrow is pointing toward the starting point. So you have to point toward the starting point. Okay? Again, here's your starting point. So these points, you have to, the distance, the point you get from the distance, you have to point toward the absolute value. So you have to point toward the starting points, point toward the starting point. So that is the picture you get. So your final answer based on this picture is -5 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 1. Okay? So again, this is based on this picture. So from this, you sketch the picture and you write your answer based on the picture. Okay, let's go to example 4. Okay, you solve 5 minus 2t is greater than or equal to 3. Okay, now remember from before, absolute value means the distance, right? So it's going to be the same. Doesn't matter if this is the starting point or this is the starting point. Okay, but to put in the proper format, you need to go and switch. Okay, you need to go and flip it up because you need to have variable in the front. Okay, so just like this case over here, they are the same. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over so I get 2t minus 5 is greater than 3. So over here, I have the end point over here, and this is the starting point. Okay, but remember the distance doesn't matter which is starting point, which is the end point. So I'm going to make the 2t, okay, I'm going to make 2t the end, and make this the starting point. Okay, so that's why I kind of flip the two parts over, because you need to have variable in the front. Okay, now the next thing is you need to have this by itself. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it by 2. Okay, so if this is positive, you can just divide by 2, so that's okay. So divide it by 2, so I get absolute value of t minus 5 over 2. Again, I'm going to put in parentheses just to remind you that the negative is not part of the starting point. Okay, and it's greater than 3 over 2. Okay, so now I'm going to sketch. Okay, so starting point is 5 over 2. That's your starting point. Okay, and the distance is 3 over 2. That's your distance. So that means this value over here, when you go over here, you have to add. So this would be 8 over 2. And when you go this way, you have to subtract. So this would be 2 over 2. And you can check, right? Okay, so now you have to draw your picture based on this. So notice that this is going to be an open circle, okay? And this is pointing away from the starting point. So be pointing away from the starting point. So now you can write your answer. So you're going to get t is going to be less than 1, right? This is 1, or t is going to be greater than, and this is a 4. You can simplify up to that. And so based on this picture, that is your answer. Okay, again, this is this, and this is greater than, and this is less than.